Hi, and welcome to a weekend love pick a card reading. And this one's supposed to make up for last Thursday where I was unable to make a post because I had a medical emergency. And those of you guys who are still waiting on your readings, I will get them to you today, okay? So we've got what's the future like with this person, okay? And this is a really, really popular request and one that I really felt that I needed to get taken care of because I've got a lot of people asking it. We've got Juliet A asking, will it last? UVX Zoe asking, what kind of future do we have? Paloma asking, what potential do we have together? And Shawnee asking, what's my future like with this person? So a lot of you guys are asking these same questions. Now, some of you guys add on to that. For example, are we going to get married? Will we have kids? That kind of thing. And I'd like to go ahead and keep those for a separate reading. So please don't think that I'm ignoring that part of the question. I just wanted to get the general question out first, okay? And I'll go ahead and tell you which pile is which. Number 1 is the red. Number 2 is orange. Number 3 is yellow. Number 4 is green. Number 5 is blue. And number 6 is white, okay? While you guys are focusing on which card you're going to pick, which group you're going to get, I wanted to go ahead and say anything you need to know about me is going to be in that description. This includes any kind of contact information, information about readings, all that good stuff. It's going to be there, okay? And I can't really think of anything else to add, so let's go ahead and start with the readings. Those of you who have not picked a pile yet, go ahead and pause the video. And for those of you who have, let's go ahead and start with pile number 1, which is the red. Okay, guys, those of you who picked red, I'm just going to move these over just a little bit so I can put the cards down so you can see them better. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so we've got abundance, so that's good. We've got the third eye chakra, which lets me know that there's a vision for the future between the two of you, okay? There's a vision for the future. You guys have some kind of future together that's far-sighted. It's not short, okay? We have dedication. That's really, really important. Wow. This is really, really strong. This is a really, really good thing to get in Lenormand. We've got the key and the gift. The key is a really important card in the Lenormand because it's like whatever the person who is asking, that's called the querent, whatever the querent is asking about, the key, this is any card surrounding the key have to do with this is the key to your heart's desire, basically. And you've got the key and the gift, which is basically saying your heart's desire is going to be given to you. All right, so that is extremely positive. We have respect. I think that that's something that you guys need to really focus on when you are interacting, just working on that, because respect, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things that when there's mutual respect, there's usually trust there, and there's usually honesty, and there's usually a lot of love. You can't really love somebody that you don't respect. So really work on or keep in mind the key word respect for your relationship, okay? And then we've got the grief card. Now this is supposed to be the card that lets you guys know what the block is, okay? If there's any kind of block in the relationship, we've got the grief card. Now this can be can be grief over something from your past that it just keeps coming up over and over in the relationship, and it could be your past or your partner's past or the other person's past, okay? This would be something that would be it would just basically be something that is kind of causing one or both of you to view the relationship as what it's not, basically. It's, for example, if somebody was cheated on in the past, they might bring the grief of being cheated on, remember the pain of that, and maybe be more likely to be suspicious of their partner because they don't want that to happen again. Now, part of that's just regular logical thinking, okay? So I don't want to dismiss that as not being valid, okay? But still, when we hold on to things that happen to us with a completely different person, then that can really affect our relationship with the new person because we're not allowing ourselves to move on. So something, and this is actually something that I have done in my relationships before, okay? Because I've had experiences where I wanted to pull something from a different relationship into a present relationship, okay? So I understand this, and what I say is, my partner's name is Greg. I'm in a relationship with Greg. I'm not in a relationship with, and I'll say the name of the other person, right? Or I'm interacting with Greg. I'm not interacting with, and I'll say the name with the other person. It really helps, actually. And I mean, you don't have to say it out loud unless you're comfortable with that. But it's just something you can say in your head to kind of help you keep that perspective. The grief card also can come up with just like giving each other grief, just kind of bickering and that kind of stuff. Now that's part of every relationship. You're not going to agree on everything, but be careful not to do a whole lot of personal attacks. In fact, if you could do no personal attacks, that would be perfect. And of course, generally people don't personally attack the people that they respect. I want to go back to this abundance card because I really think that it's important to know that it's almost like your relationship's blessed. It's almost like your relationship is something that's supposed to go well. All right. And again, we've got dedication. So both of you are going to want to work towards this relationship. And again, with the third eye chakra corresponds to the spot on your forehead, right in between your eyes, where one has their third eye. What basically the psychic and intuitive vision, okay, and it's usually it basically is this vision for the future, the vision for what's going to happen next and that kind of stuff. So the third eye chakra coming up to me, and this is always how I read it, is that both of you guys are going to have like a pretty solid idea of what's going to be coming next in your relationship, and it doesn't necessarily have to be psychic. It can just be, oh, okay, I can anticipate that we're going to need to, for example, save money for a house or something like that, right? You guys have a common vision for what you want in the relationship, and I think that that's very, very important, and that's probably why the two of you got such amazing cards here. So, will it last? It looks like this is going to be a very, very healing relationship. We've got the number 47, if that's an important number to you. That could also be 4-7. That could also be April 7th. So keep that in mind. I really feel like this is a very, very positive card. These cards are very, very projective. They're not supposed to really mean anything but what the reader gets from it. What I feel like this is some kind of contract that you've basically made, and this is a healing thing. This is something that has, in a way, it's like it's got God's thumbprint on it, right? And of course, substitute whatever deity you want in that, or idea, for example, the universe, nature, science. It has the mark of something that is what's the word? It's like it's blessed. It's supposed, it's divine. There's something about this that that is meant to be, that kind of thing. All right, so you guys have a really, really, really important relationship. It's very, very positive. I don't see anything really negative except for the grief card, but that's like so normal that it's almost like I don't even really want to say it's negative, because it's more of that's just the way that relationships are sometimes. One thing that I can say about this is that it's just a really, really, really special connection. You guys got really good cards. And I just really, I mean, I think that it's important to highlight that when it happens, and I mean, it looks really, really positive for you guys, okay? So, I can't imagine another group getting more positive cards. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, yes, this will last. This will turn into something that's very meaningful for you, okay? Alrighty, group 2, those of you who picked the orange. I'm going to go ahead and go over these cards, and we'll go over what they mean, okay? We've got miracles, okay? So we've got some kind of divinity going on. We also, when miracles comes up, it can also be something like we make our own future, that kind of thing. All right, so miracles coming up can also speak to that. We've got rest and reconsider. So one of you guys in the now is kind of trying to make up their mind about the way forward. With some of you, this might even come through as I don't know if I want to do this or not, okay? But, and it could be either side. It could be you or the other person, okay? But we do have rest and reconsider. This lets me know that there's somebody, that somebody in this situation needs to kind of go within and figure out what's going on, okay? We also have the Five of Hearts, which is sorrow, okay? So one of you might have been hurt in the past, or this might be a situation where the two of you aren't going to end up together. We have to see the rest of the cards first before we know this, okay? And also the miracles card does give me the feeling that there's some kind of wish that's being granted in this, okay? One thing that you have going for you is loyalty, okay? The two of you aren't, the two of you are loyal to one another in your heart, in your head. Both of you want to be there for one another. It's just this rest and reconsider card is kind of like, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can make this person happy. I don't know if I can be happy in this situation. And then the sorrow card is you know, we can end up giving up a relationship even if we feel as though we want to be loyal to that. And maybe there's something else that we're being loyal to, but we're looking at the relationship. So this card's going to have to do with the two of you, okay? We also have acceptance, okay? I just have to say it before we go through any of the other cards. It's just that, you know, what we're seeing so far is a lot of things that for me indicate that this might not be a good situation, okay? And you know, I'm gonna read the cards in a certain way, but in my experience, seeing these cards together lets me know that this is a situation that really doesn't look like it's gonna work very well. Please stick around for the last two interpretations, though. I really do want to make sure that you guys see all of it. Okay, so we've got the mountain and the fox. The mountain is a barrier, okay? There's some kind of obstacle going on that needs to be crossed. Now, you can be both loyal and be a little bit dishonest or clever or cunning or kind of like a trickster, okay? So that kind of characterizes one of the people in this relationship. And then, finally, okay, yeah. We've got different elements here, okay? We've got earth, air, and water, and I think that's kind of interesting. You know, there's more air and water than anything else. If you want to interpret that astrologically, go ahead. One thing about this card, though, is that we've got a ballerina dressed as the swan. I really feel like this isn't going to work out. I'm very, very sorry because I really hate. I hate it when there is a message and it's just this negative, but it just really feels like there's not a whole lot that's going for this relationship. Again, we've got the miracles and loyalty card. I really feel like this is one of those situations that came up like it was more of a fast burn. Like maybe there was a whole lot of stuff going on between the two of you that was really, great, and then it's just kind of fizzled out. There is this reconsideration going on, though, which gives me the idea that all of this stuff that we've gotten could be turned around depending on what the decision is that is going to be made. But ultimately, since this is a general read, I'm going to go ahead and say that those of you who pick the second pile, this is more of a negative answer. I really don't think that this is going to last. It doesn't feel like it has a very positive future, okay? And one thing that you can do is you can work on acceptance of that, okay? I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry to have to deliver bad news. Okay? But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, okay? Alright. Group number 3. Okay, so you guys have a really balanced relationship between how much energy both of you are willing to put into it. If you found that maybe your person isn't putting as much right now, you'll notice that it's kind of like one of those situations where it's like sometimes you're holding up the relationship and sometimes they are, but it's like you're always seeking that equilibrium between the two of you. So that's good. We've got giving and receiving, which makes sense with the balance because, in order for things to be nice and balanced between any kind of couple, you've got to have an equal amount of giving and receiving, okay? In some situations, you might go through a week or a month or maybe even a year where one of you guys needs more than the other, okay? I know that in my experience, and I'm just sharing something that's gone on for me. In my current relationship, the year that my dad died, I needed a lot more than, I took a lot more in that situation than I gave, okay? So I do know that there can be situations where one of you guys might need more than the other, okay? However, overall, this is a balance thing, okay? Both of you are willing to and want to give to the other and are also happy to receive as well. And again, if you guys are asking about crushes, this is really just talking about the energy that could be between the two of you. This is the most likely outcome if the two of you got together, okay? Knight of Angels, I always feel like this is such a sweet card because it's like both of you guys are guarding the other's heart. In one way that can kind of come across as a little codependent because obviously it's better to be able to be the guardian of your own heart, right? And be independent and be able to take care of yourself that way. But I don't feel like this is an unhealthy thing, especially with this balance going on. It's like the two of you are willing to take care of one another. So there's a lot of protection and the masculine energy in this situation, and that's just whichever of the partners is more masculine. You could be in a male-female relationship, and the female might be more masculine. Okay, that side is gonna be the one that's really protective. Okay. One thing that you can bring to the relationship to make it more positive is patience. Now that's going to be a really hard thing for me to impart much wisdom on because I don't feel like I'm the most patient person, and I kind of feel like anything that I say is just going to be yeah, but I don't practice this very well. But I mean, patience isn't so much about waiting as it is about being kind to a person who might have very, very differing views from you. Being patient with somebody who's trying to learn something, that kind of thing, because we're talking about two people. We're not talking about one person, okay? Let me go ahead and read what's on here. It says, you are able to let the universal energy of transformation move according to its own loving rhythm. So yeah, I mean, people, as they're learning something new, maybe your person has issues communicating, maybe your person has issues listening. Maybe your person has issues balancing their time, that kind of stuff. Just be patient with them. Know that they are trying. We do have the balance, the give and receive here. They do want to be that person for you. And I'm sure that there's things on your end that they also have to be patient with. It's just as we go through life and we have our experiences and all of that kind of stuff, when we're with our person, sometimes there's just something that keeps coming up, that needs to be worked on a little bit, and it feels like the kind of key for the two of you is more patience. That's what the relationship needs more of. Okay. And then one thing that's kind of like a block in your relationship is courage. It feels like both of you can be kind of timid sometimes. Both of you can kind of hold back on what you're feeling, and I feel like this kind of goes back to the balance thing. It's like on the one hand, you guys have a lot of balance, and that's so positive. On the other hand, though, seeking that balance and everything can also cause us inside to seek an equilibrium where we're not expressing as much as what we feel, because we don't want to come across as too much of swinging one way or the other. We don't want to come across as too cold and distant, but we definitely won't want to come across as too emotional. Have the courage to be who you are, because who you are is going to be the thing that ultimately brings balance to the relationship. The balance is about the relationship, not about what's going on inside. And I really feel like that's something that you guys can work on, okay? And your person can work on it too, okay? So the Lenormand that you have is kind of interesting. This is a card of paths, okay, or choices. All right, so you guys have a choice to and it's like you have a choice to look at things in a positive way, and if you do that, then you'll be very lucky in your relationship, okay? And that is, just keep in mind all the positive stuff that's going on. Make sure you're not taking each other for granted, making sure that you are aware that this relationship is a really positive one, that kind of thing. And then the other side is more turbulent. Okay, but we're talking about one relationship, so I don't mean that either one of you is going to pursue somebody else. However, there might be a situation come up where one or both of you do have somebody that kind of pops up out of nowhere and is an option. It's just, I don't really feel like that's going to be taken. I feel like you're going to be very lucky about how this relationship kind of unfolds and that kind of thing. So I really feel like you guys are going to be doing really well. And then ultimately we have, oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, so we have like this kind of wonderment with each other. It's almost like you're enchanted with one another. I do want to go ahead and say that kind of early, that kind of early emotions that are just really, really kind of magical. And sometimes they don't stick around forever, but it looks like the two of you are going to have a lot of magical moments together throughout your relationship, and those magical moments are going to be really important. They're going to be kind of like the glue that keeps you together. And this would be something like coincidences, a lot of coincidence. This could be something like, just keeping that attraction going, the physical attraction, still being in awe of one another and honoring that person for who they are and that kind of stuff, okay? So this looks good. This looks really good. Just remember, being a little timid in this relationship would hold you back, okay? Alrighty. So we have got group number 4. And I'm gonna ask my cameraman right now to go get something. I apologize. Okay, we're back. I had one of my cats trying to knock over a glass of water. So, oh, you guys have a lot of power between the two of you. This is a very powerful relationship. One thing that I kind of like about this particular card is that it depicts kind of like a storm, right? And when we look at storms, and I'm borrowing from a book. I'm borrowing a quote from a book written by an author, Frank Turner Holland, who lives in Alabama. So if you guys want to look up this book, it's called The Pains of April. Anyway, what he says is like a storm doesn't ask permission. It just does what it wants. You know, it doesn't, and it's just kind of like this force. It just goes. It's like, it feels like that kind of sentiment is like your relationship. It's like you guys are you just are, and it's a really powerful thing that the two of you are together, that kind of thing. All right, we've got sharing love. So both of you, if you guys haven't communicated about sharing about your feelings, this is going to be coming up very, very soon, because we've got sharing love, and that's always something, obviously that's something that definitely helps a relationship along, and is something that helps the relationship have some feet to stand on. We've got intuition, which is really good, because the intuition lets me know that the two of you aren't just relying on the head and the heart. You also have this kind of almost inner conviction, this kind of belief in the relationship. And I think that that's a really important quality to have, because when logic fails and when emotions fail, and let's say you're going through some difficult times, as long as you believe that this relationship can get through it, that will keep the two of you together. So that's very positive. I am also getting that the male in this relationship, or the masculine energy, it could be both of you, but I'm getting that one of you is going to be very well off, or maybe they are going to own their own business. Maybe they're really well off right now, but one of you guys is going to be very, very successful. And I personally believe that material and possessions and that kind of stuff is not going to make or break a relationship. However, studies show that relationships where there's enough money and there's not that financial struggle, studies show that they last longer, and they are more they're described as more fulfilling and more stable. So I just want to mention that this would be a positive for the two of you, okay? Kindness. Sometimes you guys kind of banter and joke around a little bit too much. Now, that's fun, okay? I like that. I like doing that. But at the same time, remember to be kind to one another. This would be something to bring to the relationship to help it stick together, that kind of thing. All right, and then we've got success. Okay, so I really feel like this is showing that your relationship will be successful. Sometimes success might come up as a block, though. I know that a lot of people have heard of the idea that somebody's afraid to fail, right? We've all heard of that. Like, I don't want to ask that person out, because what if they reject me? People who will not do something because they're afraid of failure, that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? There's actually people who don't do things because they're afraid of success, because for whatever reason, maybe it comes from their childhood, maybe it comes from a traumatic experience, maybe it's just something that they've internalized. Success for them is more scary than maybe settling for kind of the middle path, that kind of thing. So some people can be afraid of success, and it's a really interesting thing. But I actually know 2 people in my life right now who who can get into that mood where they're afraid of being. Sometimes this can come up when there's a little bit of kind of acute depression, which I say that to mean it's not clinical depression, but it's like somebody gets into a mental mind frame that kind of mimics it, but it doesn't have the symptoms that to actually make a diagnosis. Okay. But yeah, know that this relationship is going to be a success, first off, and second, don't be afraid to succeed. Okay. And then we've also got this card, which I think is I get this card a lot when I'm doing my readings, and it always makes me feel like everything's being lifted up. It makes me feel like there's a whole lot of hope. One thing that you guys can rely on when things get kind of weird is hope, knowing that this is something that is positive, and also just that inner conviction, that belief that the two of you can stay together. I really feel like, especially with the success card, that this is the kind of relationship that at least has everything it needs to stick together. I think that if this relationship, what is not going to happen, it's going to be because you walk away, not the other person. Okay? So that's what I get there. All right, those of you who picked the pile number 5, let's go ahead and see how your relationship looks. Well, right off the bat, we've got children. I'm just going to go ahead and let this speak for itself, okay? Because you've already got some of the best cards, okay? We've got children, we've got love, we've got faith, we've got seek. This card is traditionally the Hermit card. This is not a traditional tarot deck, though, so please don't think that this is the Hermit energy. This is just seeking out wisdom, that kind of thing. Okay. We've got humility. And then we've got time. Okay, so this looks like something that, it certainly looks at this point that this is a very, very positive thing. Just because something has all of these positive elements doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stick together. But everything that I am getting from this lets me know that you guys have everything that it takes. If you don't have children yet with this person, you might adopt, you might get pets, that kind of thing. But that was the very first card, and that's definitely giving me the idea that the two of you will have children. You guys are committed. You're in love. You have a lot of love feelings. The faith card is like you believe in this. You really believe in this connection. You seek one another out, as well as seeking out the truth. And when we're in line with what is true and what is right, then we can see for ourselves how things are going to play out. Humility is something that needs to be brought to the relationship, which is basically the idea that, you guys both have different paths. Part of your path will be together, but also you have your own independence too. And just knowing that that's going on. This time card can refer to a wait. It can refer to a waiting period. Okay. The number that's associated with this card is 38. I don't feel like either one of you guys are going to have to be in a waiting period, but if you're one of the maybe 5 people that are watching this that are in a waiting period, you're not going to have to wait past March 8th for this to come. March 8th for this to come together. And look, guys, if you're watching this and it's this video has just gone up, I'm talking about next March. If you're watching this at for example, April 2019, it's going to be a longer wait, okay? Because it's going to be the next March after that, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. One thing that I do see is that there's a spiritual element here. So, for example, the two of you might share a religion, or the two of you both might acknowledge that this is a very divine relationship that's been kind of thrown at you. At the same time, we do have this kind of tedium, and the cross can also represents burdens, okay? I feel though with all this other stuff though is that this is going to be representing spirituality more than it's going to be representing burdens. But I do have to say, every relationship has times where you go through where you got to kind of help the other, build them up and take on some of their stressors so that you guys can both work through a situation together. So that's not necessarily a negative thing, I mean, every relationship's going to have some negativity, right? I mean, you're not always going to get along. You're not always going to have everything just lining up before you, with, birds dancing around you and animals, following you everywhere you go and, and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, you're going to have this is reality, where maybe you guys are going to have to wait for something. And it also might be a situation where just timing is really important. And as far as this kind of thing, this could be tedium, but it can also be routine. Some people really, really thrive on routine. And so this could also be talking about how you just kind of get into this routine of doing certain things at certain times, that kind of thing. And that's just what happens, on Friday nights you watch Netflix, and on Saturday mornings you always get donuts, and on Wednesdays you always have leftovers, that kind of stuff, okay? So while this can have to do with tedium, it can also have to do with routine. Unfortunately, I am not getting anything in this that says definitely you guys are going to stick together. But what I am getting is that you have all the components that indicate that the two of you have a strong enough relationship that that's what's going to happen. Okay, so I think that this is going to be one of those situations where it's going to be up to you to make certain that you stick with it. If you don't, I think that it's going to be you, the viewer, who's going to be walking away from this. I don't feel like your person's going to walk away from this, all right? So kind of keep that in mind. Oh, one more thing. The children card can also just mean that one or both of you already has children. I just wanted to mention that. I didn't say that at the beginning. All right, guys, we are on the last pile. This is pile number 6, and we're gonna look at what kind of energies between the two of you guys. All right. So first we have the surrender and release. Okay, so this could be, releasing some of your worries, some of your fears, but it also could be that maybe this relationship needs to be released. We're gonna figure that out. Okay, so one of the blocks is going to be fear, okay? And what's going on with a block being fear is that there's not as much to be afraid of as it feels like, okay? So that supports that the surrender and release is talking about getting rid of that thing that doesn't serve you. Not certain why the fear is up. This is a general reading, so it's going to be, it's not going to be able to get into those specifics, but it feels like the fear is just a little bit overboard. Yeah, it can happen when you've got somebody with anxiety. It can happen with somebody who overthinks. When one is in a relationship, sometimes it can, the other person can inspire us to be basically obsessive. So, I mean, I understand that we can create fear by just kind of getting stuck in our thoughts and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, we've also got helpless and hopeless. This could indicate that one of you guys actually does have depression. It can also show that perhaps the relationship is not going to go together. All right. And then we've got the release again, which is metamorphosis. Something needs to change in this relationship. Something that you guys can bring to the relationship that would help it is by being in the present, not worrying about the past or the future, but just really just being together. The Lenormand, your Lenormand cards are very positive. We've got a a woman with a ring. So this shows that there's going to be a contract between you and your person. The woman is just one of the main characters. This is going to be either you or your partner. It's going to represent either the feminine or the masculine. It doesn't really matter. It's just that this is a main character. We've got one man and one woman that can come up. And so this just means that one of you, you guys are going to have some kind of contract between the two of you. And then at the end here, we've also got alchemy. So yeah, with metamorphosis, with the alchemy, something just really needs to change for the two of you to stick together. Otherwise, it's just not going to go anywhere. So what needs to change? What needs to change is this fear. We've got to get to the point where we're not overthinking things so much. And sometimes what fear can do, especially in a relationship, as you're interacting with the person, is you're not being yourself as much because you're afraid to be yourself, because you feel like yourself is going to be too awkward. Be who you are, okay? Release this fear, okay? Try to stick with the present. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the past or what happened in the don't worry about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. Create your situation by being in the now, okay? Because when you're in the now, the future takes care of itself. I'm not saying not to have a plan, but what I am saying is that you've got to get more in the moment with this person, because when you're with them, you're distracted by something. Okay, this release is talking about a metamorphosis. It's talking about a change. We've got the alchemy card, which is talking about a transformation. This is coming up saying that yes, this can end up in an engagement and a marriage. This can end up that way, but you guys have got to go through some kind of change in order for it to get there. If that change is being resisted, though, then this is not going to work out. Okay. So yeah, and then again, one of you guys might be depressed. One of you guys might actually have clinical depression. Maybe the change is that person needs to get some professional help, okay? So there's also that going on. One thing I want to say about this is that I want to go ahead and recognize that this doesn't look like a really, really positive reading. It does look like this is one of those relationships that, yeah, you guys might be together and you might be together for a while, but it doesn't really look like it's going to get better. And I really feel like it's more of a either or rather than all bad or all good, because we do have this contract right here, and that lets me know that there's potential. Okay, there's definitely potential. We've got the alchemy card. One of you has to be a catalyst for change. So please don't look at this all negative, okay? If you really believe in this relationship, then just commit to making a change so that the two of you can be in a better situation, and really commit to being in the present moment and being who you truly are, so that you're kind of getting rid of this fear, and you're kind of getting rid of the overthinking, okay, guys? All right. I know it wasn't the best, but it's not bad either. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. As always, I love the comments and feedback that you guys leave. If you want to book a reading with me, all of that's in the description. I always appreciate you guys, and I hope that I'm continuing to deliver really quality content to you guys as well. I really enjoyed doing this reading, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on Monday for the general reading.